The story of Adam and Eve is one of the most profound narratives in the Bible, rich with meaning and lessons that resonate deeply with our lives today. It's not just about the first humans, it's about all of us, our struggles, choices, and the hope for redemption. In the beginning, Adam and Eve were placed in the Garden of Eden, a perfect environment created by God. They had everything they needed: beauty, abundance, and an intimate relationship with their Creator. But there was one condition. They were not to eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. This tree represented a boundary, a reminder that God, as their Creator, determined what was good and evil. The serpent enters the story, sowing seeds of doubt in Eve's mind. He doesn't outright deny God's words, but twists them, making her question God's intentions. Did God really say? This is where the story begins to speak to us today. How often are we confronted with voices, whether external or internal, that make us doubt what is true? Eve looked at the fruit, saw that it was desirable, and took it. Adam followed, and at that moment, everything changed. They disobeyed God, and sin entered the world. The result: shame, separation, and blame. Adam and Eve hid from God, covering themselves with fig leaves, trying to fix the problem on their own. This story mirrors our modern lives, in a world that often calls us to define truth for ourselves and pursue what feels good. How many times do we choose things that ultimately leave us feeling empty? We see it in the pursuit of success, relationships, or material possessions that promise fulfillment, but often lead to stress, comparison, and regret. Like Adam and Eve, we often hide behind social media filters, work, or even busyness because we fear vulnerability and exposure. But the story doesn't end with their fall. When God calls out, "Where are you?" He isn't seeking information. He's offering an invitation. God knew where they were, but he wanted them to step forward, to acknowledge their need for him. Even after their disobedience, God provides for them, clothing them with garments of skin, foreshadowing the ultimate covering of sin through Jesus Christ. Today, this story reminds us that sin separates us from God, but it also teaches us about his relentless love. No matter how far we stray or how broken we feel, God calls us back. He doesn't leave us in our guilt and shame. Instead, through Jesus, he offers redemption, grace, and a path back to him. The lessons from Adam and Eve are incredibly relevant. First, we're reminded to trust God's wisdom over our desires. It's tempting to pursue what looks good on the surface, but true fulfillment comes from aligning our lives with God's will. Second, when we fall, we don't have to stay in hiding. We can come to God honestly, confess our mistakes, and receive his forgiveness. Finally, we see that God is a God of restoration. Even when we face the consequences of our actions, he is with us, guiding us toward healing and wholeness. As we reflect on Adam and Eve, let's ask ourselves, what areas of our lives need God's truth and guidance? Are there things we're holding on to thinking they'll bring happiness, but they're pulling us away from him? And most importantly, do we hear his voice calling? Where are you? This isn't just their story, it's ours. It's a story of human weakness and God's unshakable love. A reminder that no matter how broken the world feels, hope and redemption are always within reach.